Celtics.
My mom said if you ain't got something nice to say about people, don't say anything. No, I mean it's a great rivalry, no doubt about that. Over the years when we played against them, obviously very intense rivalry. Neither team liked each other. Until I retired and got to Jersey as a coach and started meeting some of these guys outside of basketball, I found out how much we had in common. So it was pretty cool after that. But I still want to beat them. I'm sure they want to beat us.
Your buddy James Worthy is all fired up in the studio, of course. Do memories like that still filter in just when you walk into the building?
Yeah, you still think about the great times that we had and the great games that we had against these guys in the rivalry. And like I said, every time we played them, it meant something. Because usually the home court advantage or whatever the case may be. But we knew we were going to meet them somewhere down the line. And we knew how good they were. So every time we played them, it was special.
What stands out the most to you right now when you reflect and just think about Lakers Celtics?
Well, just pretty much all the games that we played against them. There's every game that I participated in against this team, there's some type of memory. Even in the preseason when we played them 4 times in one preseason, which was ridiculous. I think the NBA they should have known something was going to happen. We faced those guys that many times, and we end up never having to play them again since then because of that incident. But like I said, it was special when you look back. Now that I'm not there playing or playing anymore, when you look back at all those games, it really was truly an unbelievable rivalry against 2 very, very, very great basketball teams.
Kobe said his most memorable moment here in 19 years was the loss in Game 6 of 2008, 39-point loss. That's not surprising, is it? He's such a perfectionist. I'm sure that's haunted him for years,
Yeah, I understand that. Just like my rookie year, losing here as well in Game 7. You never forget those setbacks that you have, and I think that's what makes you, come back to next year even that much more determined. And face them. And that was I don't know if that was that was my rookie year of losing that one, and hearing the sentence again and again about the Celtics always beat the Lakers, in the finals. So we had to live with that for another year until we were able to get the monkey off our back. So, like I say, every time I think about this team, this city, the arena that we played in, the Boston Garden, it brings back a lot of great memories because it was great basketball.
For this current Celtics team, how difficult is it to scout when you don't know which player is going to go off or have a big game?
It's not really difficult. You still know what they're going to be doing. You got a pretty good idea. It's just trying to control certain guys. Jeff Green is probably their hot guy, the guy that they look to kind of carry the load. But you know what Rondo can do. I mean, he's a guy that can get a triple-double on any given night. So they're still very dangerous. They get up and down the floor just as well as any team in the league. So we understand what we have to do tonight. We have to come ready to play because I'm sure they're looking at, they got the monkey off their back against Detroit, and they want to see if they can keep it going.
Hey Byron, when you were mentoring Kobe his rookie season, what did he want to know about the whole rivalry? What questions was he asking about it?
You know what, Mark, I don't remember, you asked me a question 30 years ago, man. Something like that, 20 years ago. It's hard to remember all the stuff that Kobe and I talked about during those days. We talked a lot of basketball. We didn't talk a whole lot about rivalry. We talked about what it meant to be a professional and come ready to play every single night and being the very best that he could possibly be. The one question that he did ask, his statement was he would have loved to play in that era, and he would have been perfect in that era, because of the rivalry. And he takes a lot of pride in that, and wearing that purple and gold, just like these guys wearing that green, that green color over there. They take a lot of pride in that. So when I walk on that floor, just like this morning, I have so much respect for this organization because of what they've been able to accomplish. But I always knew when I played, they always stood in the way too.
How has Kobe's game changed at age 36?
Well, I think obviously just like most veterans, when they get in the league, they rely on the athleticism and more than anything. Now he relies on his head more than anything because he's just as smart as any player that's playing in this game. So he utilizes that more than anything. His athleticism still isn't gone, but it's nowhere near what it used to be. I mean, he was jumping over guys, then. So he's just changed his game to a certain extent where he's a little bit closer into the basket. He's not shooting a ton of threes. We try to get him in the mid post and in the low post and at the elbows more than anything, where he can operate there. But as you get older, you get smarter. and that's exactly what Kobe's got.
You know him so well. But did it surprise you? I mean, the way he's played this year, coming off of it.
You know what I said before the season started, that it really was nothing he can do that would surprise me, but he has surprised me. Because I know everybody that was writing him off saying that he was pretty much done, ranking him 40th, 50th, and all that stuff. I don't think those people truly understand the type of person that he is and how he uses that to motivate him. And he's come back with a vengeance, and he's been better than I thought he would be. So I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised.
Coach, have you been surprised by the way Jordan Hill has played? I know that you kind of liked him last year. Is this sort of the kind of production you thought he could give you?
Yeah, it is. I thought that Jordan could be a double-double guy. He's pretty close to that. So that hasn't surprised me at all, because I sit down with Jordan before the season and told him what I expect from him.
How about the shooting, though? That seems to be
not really, because I saw him working on it, this summer, and I saw him in the gym, doing training camp, knocking that shot down on a consistent basis. So no, that hasn't surprised me at all.
What Celtic player did you have breakfast with?
I didn't. I'm still real old school. I don't have breakfast with Danny and all those guys.
Did you tease Kobe about going to breakfast with Toronto?
No.
Did you do anything like that when you played, Larry?
No.
How does that make you feel now? I mean, it seems like you were saying how you didn't like any of the players on this team. You didn't know how much you had in common with them until way after the fact. Now it seems like everyone's friends with each other. How do you feel about that? And are you surprised?
I think because of that, because of AAU and all that stuff, you do have these guys that have a little bit more of a connection and a bond, even once they get to this level. And I think that's why you don't have the type of rivalries that we had, because we truly did not like each other, because we knew that they were trying to go after the same thing we were going after. You've got the guys now that, I had a player in New Orleans that the guy, he spent the night at his house, they went to breakfast, and then you got to play against this guy. That's unheard of, for me, but, it's just a new day and age.
Didn't Magic and Bird eventually get to that point, though, where they kind of had that friendship?
Yeah, but that was pretty much way towards the end of their career. And that just happened because they did a commercial together and started learning a little bit about each other and found out, like I just said, that they had a lot in common and became friends. But at the beginning, at least my first 5 or 6 years, they did not like each other at all.
Kobe and Rondo's still here, obviously, from when they played in the finals a couple years ago, but none of the other guys in the locker room. Did they get a sense of this rivalry? Do you and Kobe say anything, or is it just sort of assumed they know about the league enough to know Lakers Celtics?
You can't assume anything with these guys nowadays. So I don't assume that they know anything about the Lakers-Celtics rivalry. So Kobe and I, or myself, obviously before this game starts, you kind of let them know what this rivalry is all about.
You don't think Swaggy P was staying up last night looking at old film from the 80s?
Filming himself.
Is it kind of sad that maybe the young players of today don't know a lot about the Celtics-Lakers?
It is a little sad. A lot of these guys don't know the history of the NBA, and they don't know about this rivalry. That was the beauty of Kobe at 18 years old, is that he wanted to know as much about the history of this game as possible. So he was always asking me questions about it, and that's why he's such a student of the game. A lot of these young guys, this new generation, they don't necessarily care about what got them to this point. And the people that pioneered this league, and that's sad.
Is getting the Lakers back to contention a huge challenge for you personally?
I don't think it's a huge challenge, but it's a challenge, and it's something that I'm looking big time forward to. I'm going to enjoy the process. But just like I feel the Celtics will be back, so will we.
Obviously, there are certain things every team wants to do defensively. What's particularly important to you?
Well, there's a few things. There's a few categories that we talk about as a team that we want to try to get better at each and every night. And I'm not going to tell you what they are, but we've gotten better the last 4 or 5 games doing those things, but it's still not good enough. We still got to keep harping on those things, but. I've always believed, and still to this day will continue to believe, that if you want to win in this league on a consistent basis, you better guard every single night.
Rajon Rondo shooting 30% from the free throw line this year. If the situation presented itself, would you consider a hack-a-Shaq type of strategy?
Hack-a-Rondo? Yeah. We'll think about it.
I think all the friendships across the league takes away from some of the competitiveness on the court.
Definitely. How can it not? You do have to have, I think, a certain dislike for your opponent to go out there and try to kill him, beat him, and if you're friends with a guy, that's hard to develop that on the court. So Rouse, as crazy as he was at times, his no fraternizing with the enemy, you know, I thought was probably one of the best things that we could ever do, because you know, we looked at ourselves as our family, and everybody that was in that outer circle wasn't in it.
That was like a rule.
It was a rule.
Do you think Phil Pressey has enough dislike of the coaching staff of the Lakers?
He might after the night. And last night he probably hung out with his dad and they had a good dinner. But now his dad is old school. I don't know about the young fella, but his dad is old school. So once the ball goes up, they're no longer father and son until that game is over.
Does that make you have second thoughts with your relationship with Paul, given you as a former Celtic?
No. He wasn't a Celtic long enough.
How did that all materialize with you and him, as far as, because he's been on your staff a few times?
He's been on my staff for a while, since New Orleans. Well, another Celtic coach, Doc Rivers, you know, knew I was looking for a coach and called me up about Press. You know, so talked to Press, had him over, had dinner together and everything, and just we hit it off so well that he's been with me for the past 8-9 years.
What do you think he's provided for your staff through, you know, here and New Orleans included?
Leadership and a calmness. He has a very good basketball IQ, and he's great at reading players. You know, he's great at reading players. So, you know, he's a very good defensive mind, very good offensive mind. So it gives me tidbits on both ends of the floor. Even though I'll let Jimmy kind of take care of the defense right now. You know, so he's just kind of my utility man. He just helps a little bit of everywhere.